I'm Saul 38 standing in my father's living room, holding a letter from a lawyer about Grandpa's estate. The paper's edges are worn, smelling faintly of pipe tobacco, like Grandpa's old jacket. Dad reads it over my shoulder and laughs a sharp cutting sound. A junk house, he says. Waste of time. His words hit like a slap, stirring something I've buried since I was a kid, always chasing his approval. I force a smile, clench my fist, and walk out the door, slamming behind me. Later in Grandpa's house, I find his notebook, a single page hinting at something hidden. Dad's laughter stops when I show him. If you've ever swallowed a truth to keep the peace, stick around. The drive to Grandpa's house takes an hour, the Ohio countryside blurring past in shades of gray and green. The letter sits crumpled in my jacket pocket, its weight heavier than paper should be. I pull into the gravel driveway, the tires crunching loud enough to drown out the knot in my gut. The house looms ahead, smaller than I remember, its white paint peeling like old skin, the porch sagging under years of neglect. It's been a decade since I last stood here, helping Grandpa stack firewood in the summer heat. Now it feels like trespassing. I step out, the air sharp with the scent of damp wood and earth. The front door creaks as I push it open, revealing a dim living room cluttered with dust-covered furniture. A faded armchair sits by the window where Grandpa used to read his westerns. My boots echo on the hardwood, each step stirring a memory I can't quite grab. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, but the letter said the estate was mine, and Dad's laughter keeps ringing in my ears, pushing me forward. In the kitchen, I find it on the counter, half hidden, under a stack of yellowed newspapers, Grandpa's notebook. It's leather-bound, worn smooth at the edges, the kind he always carried. I flip it open, expecting grocery lists or random thoughts, but instead there are sketches, angles, and lines like a map of the house. Numbers are scrawled in the margins, some circled, others crossed out. One page has a drawing of the staircase, an arrow pointing to the base. My pulse quickens. This isn't just a diary. It's a puzzle, something Grandpa left behind. I'm tracing the sketch with my finger when my phone buzzes. It's Bernice, my sister, her voice tight through the speaker. "Saul, you at the house?" she asks, not waiting for an answer. "Dad's been talking to a realtor. Says he's got a buyer lined up for that place. Didn't tell you, did he?" My jaw tightens, the phone hot against my ear. I stare at the notebook, its pages open like a challenge. Dad's moving behind my back like he always does, pulling strings to keep control. I mutter a thanks to Bernice, promising to call her later, but my mind's already elsewhere. I start searching, moving through the house with purpose. The staircase is narrow, the wood worn smooth underfoot. I kneel at the base, where the sketch pointed, running my hands over the boards. One feels loose, giving slightly under pressure. I pry at it with my pocket knife, the blade catching splinters. My heart's pounding now, not just from the effort. If Dad's rushing to sell, he knows something. And if Grandpa hid something here, I'm not letting it go without a fight. The board pops free, revealing a hollow space, but it's empty except for dust and a rusted nail. I sit back, breathing hard, frustration clawing at me. Whatever Grandpa left, it's not here. I move to the living room, flipping through the notebook again. Another sketch shows the fireplace with a note in Grandpa's slanted handwriting, "Check the hearth." I crouch by the cold fireplace, the bricks rough under my fingers. The mortar's uneven, like someone patched it in a hurry. I tap at it listening for a hollow sound, but there's nothing. My phone buzzes again. Bernie's texting this time. Dad's asking if you're staying there. Be careful. I don't reply. The idea of him scheming, already planning to strip this place away, makes my chest tight. I've spent years nodding along, letting him call the shots. Not this time. Across the street, I notice movement, a curtain twitching in the neighbor's window. An older woman, her face half hidden, watches me. I nod, but she doesn't nod back, just lets the curtain fall. Something about her stare feels familiar, like she knows more than she's letting on. I turn back to the notebook, my fingers smudged with dust. The sketches are precise, deliberate. Grandpa wasn't a man who did things by accident. Whatever he hid, it's here, and I'm not leaving until I find it. The air feels heavier now, like the house itself is holding its breath. The house feels alive now, its creaks and groans louder in the fading light. I set the notebook down and move to the dining room, where an old chandelier hangs, crooked, its crystals dulled by grime. My fingers trace the table's edge where Grandpa carved his initials, one winter when I was 12. The memory stings not nostalgia, but the ache of something unfinished. I flip to another page in the notebook, finding a sketch of the back porch with a single word under. My pulse skips. I grab a flashlight from my truck and head outside. The porch is a mess, boards warped and nails rusted. I kneel, shining the light beneath where dirt and cobwebs cling to the joists. Something glints, a metal box half buried in the soil. My hands shake as I dig it out, the earth cold and damp. The box is locked, no key in sight, but its heavy, promising secrets. I sit back on my heels, the weight of it grounding me. Grandpa hid this for a reason, and Dad's rush to sell feels like more than greed now. He's hiding something too. My phone buzzes again, Bernice. He's asking about your plans, she texts. Says you're wasting money on that dump. I clench the phone, my thumb hovering over a reply I don't send. Dad's always done this, poking at my choices, making me doubt myself. I shove the phone in my pocket and carry the box inside, setting it on the kitchen counter. The lock's rusted, but I don't force it yet. Instead, I study the notebook again, searching for a clue about a key. A faint pencil mark catches my eye. A drawing of a coat rack by the front door, an X on one hook. I cross the house, my boots heavy on the floor. The coat rack is still there, warped, but standing with 3 brass hooks. I check each one, feeling for anything unusual. The 3rd hook wiggles loose, and behind it, taped to the wood, is a small key, its metal dulled with age. My breath catches. Grandpa planned this every step, like he knew I'd need to find it. I slip the key into my pocket, the box waiting in the kitchen, like a question I'm not ready to answer. Outside, the neighbor's curtain moves again. I catch her silhouette, sharper this time, her posture stiff. I step onto the porch, raising a hand, but she doesn't acknowledge me. Her watching feels deliberate now, like she's waiting for me to uncover something she already knows. I turn away the key, cold against my palm. The box could hold anything, papers, proof, or just more of Grandpa's dreams. But it's mine to open, not Dad's to sell. I head back to the kitchen, the box's edges biting into my fingers as I set it down. The key fits the lock, but I hesitate, my chest tight with something heavier than curiosity. If this is what Dad's afraid of, it's bigger than a house. I turn the key, the lock grinding, but before I can lift the lid, a car engine rumbles outside. Headlights cut through the window, pinning me in their glare. I freeze, knowing who it is before I even hear his voice. The headlights flood the kitchen, casting long shadows across the metal box on the counter. Dad's voice cuts through the night before I see him, low and commanding like always. "Saul, open the door." My fingers tighten around the key, still in the lock, the box unopened. I don't move right away, letting the silence stretch. The air feels thick, like it's pressing down on me. I walk to the front door, each step deliberate, and pull it open. He stands on the porch, his coat buttoned tight, holding a manila envelope. He steps inside without asking, his boots tracking mud across the floor. "You're making a mistake," he says, tossing the envelope onto the dining table. "Sign these and we're done." The papers inside are a sale agreement, the buyer's name in bold. I don't touch them. His eyes narrow, taking in the notebook beside the box. "What's that?" he asks, his tone too casual, like he's fishing. I slide the notebook closer to me, my voice steady. "Something Grandpa left." He laughs short and bitter. "Your grandfather was a fool with big ideas and no sense. You're wasting your time digging through his junk." His words land like a punch, but I keep my face blank, my hands still. I've heard this before, his way of cutting down anything that isn't his plan. But this time, it's not just about me. It's about Grandpa, the house, and whatever's in that box. I meet his gaze. I'm not signing. His jaw tightens, a flicker of frustration breaking through his control. "You think you're smarter than me? This place is a money pit. You'll lose everything chasing ghosts." He steps closer, his shadow looming over the table. I don't back up, but my pulse hammers. I want to ask about the realtor, about Bernice's warning, but I hold it in. He's testing me, waiting for me to crack. I won't give him that. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Bernice again. Probably checking if I'm okay. I ignore it, keeping my eyes on Dad. "Why the rush?" I ask, my voice low. "What's in it for you?" He doesn't answer right away, just stares like he's weighing how much I know. Then he turns, pacing toward the fireplace, his fingers brushing the bricks I checked earlier. "You've always been stubborn," he says, almost to himself. "Just like him." I follow his movement, noticing the way his shoulders tense when he glances at the box. He knows something, maybe more than I do. I step toward the counter, standing between him and the box, my hand resting on its lid. "If it's worthless, why do you care so much?" I ask. His head snaps up, eyes sharp, but he doesn't answer. Instead, he picks up the envelope and holds it out again. "Last chance, Saul. Sign it." I shake my head, slow and deliberate. "I'm not done here." The words feel final, like a line drawn in the dirt. His face hardens, and for a moment I see something new, anger, yes, but also a flicker of unease. He drops the envelope back on the table, the paper spilling slightly. "You'll regret this," he says, his voice cold, as he heads for the door. It slams behind him, the sound echoing in the quiet house. I stand there, my hand still on the box, the key biting into my palm. The headlights fade, as his car pulls away, leaving me in darkness. My phone buzzes again, but I don't check it. Instead, I turn to the notebook, flipping to a page I hadn't noticed before. It's a sketch of the attic door, with a single line in Grandpa's handwriting, "Truth waits above." My breath catches. The attic. I grab the flashlight and head upstairs, the stairs creaking under my weight, each step pulling me deeper into something I can't walk away from. The attic door is at the end of a narrow hallway, its paint chipped and handle rusted. My flashlight beam cuts through the gloom, catching dust motes that float like ghosts. The key from the coat rack doesn't fit, and I curse under my breath, the sound swallowed by the house's silence. My fingers trace the doorframe, searching for a weak spot, but it's solid, unyielding. Grandpa's note said, "The truth waits here," but all I feel is the weight of being locked out again. Dad's words echo in my head, not the ones from tonight, but older ones from years ago, when he dismissed my plans with a shrug, saying I'd never amount to much. I pushed the thought down, focusing on the door. I wedge the flashlight under my arm and grab a screwdriver from my truck left on the porch from earlier. The screws on the hinge are stubborn, rusted into place, but I work at them, my hands steady despite the tightness in my chest. Each turn feels like defiance, but it's hollow. I'm still chasing shadows, not answers. The neighbor's curtain twitches again as I pass the window, her silhouette a faint outline. I check each one, feeling for anything unusual. The third hook wiggles loose, and behind it, taped to the wood, is a small key, its metal dulled with age. My breath catches. Grandpa planned this every step, like he knew I'd need to find it. I slip the key into my pocket, the box waiting in the kitchen, like a question I'm not ready to answer. Outside, the neighbor's curtain moves again. I catch her silhouette sharper this time, her posture stiff. I step onto the porch, raising a hand, but she doesn't acknowledge me. Her watching feels deliberate now, like she's waiting for me to uncover something she already knows. I turn away the key, cold against my palm. The box could hold anything papers proof, or just more of Grandpa's dreams. But it's mine to open, not Dad's to sell. I head back to the kitchen, the box's edges biting into my fingers as I set it down. The key fits the lock, but I hesitate, my chest tight with something heavier than curiosity. If this is what Dad's afraid of, it's bigger than a house. I turn the key, the lock grinding, but before I can lift the lid, a car engine rumbles outside. Headlights cut through the window, pinning me in their glare. I freeze, knowing who it is, before I even hear his voice. I sit on the attic floor, the letters scattered around me, their weight heavier than the trunk they came from. My flashlight flickers, casting jagged shadows on the slanted walls. One letter folded tighter than the rest catches my eye. It's in Grandpa's handwriting, addressed to me, dated 10 years ago, when I was still trying to prove myself to Dad. My hands shake as I unfolded the paper, brittle, like it's been waiting too long. "Saul," it starts, "if you're reading this, I failed you." My chest tightens, a dull ache spreading. He writes about Dad not as my father, but as his son, a man who tried to sell the land's mineral rights behind his back. Grandpa fought him quietly through lawyers to keep the estate whole for me. He wanted the money Grandpa wrote, not the legacy. I hid the proof to protect you. I stop reading, my breath shallow. Dad didn't just dismiss me. He betrayed Grandpa, his own blood for a payout. The words blur not from the dim light, but from the heat behind my eyes. I shove the letter into my pocket and stumble downstairs, the house creaking like it's mocking my unsteadiness. The metal box still sits on the kitchen counter, its lock unopened, daring me to face what's inside. I don't touch it. Instead, I grab my phone and call Dad, my fingers clumsy on the screen. It rings twice before he picks up. "What now?" he says, his voice clipped like I'm an inconvenience. I don't plan the words. They spill out low and tight. "I found Grandpa's letter. You tried to cheat him out of the land." Silence on his end, long enough that I check if the call dropped. Then he laughs, a hollow sound, not like his usual confidence. "You're chasing fairy tales, Saul." He was senile, writing nonsense. My grip on the phone tightens, knuckles white. "It's in his handwriting," I say, "dated years ago." He wasn't senile. He pauses again, then shifts tactics, his tone smooth, almost gentle. "You're blowing this out of proportion. Let it go. Sign the papers, and we move on." It's the same voice he used when I was a kid, convincing me my dreams were too big, my plans too small. I want to yell, to throw the phone, but I don't. My voice stays even colder than I feel. "You don't get to rewrite this." I hang up before he can respond, my pulse hammering in my ears. The kitchen feels smaller, the walls pressing in. I pace, trying to shake the anger that's clawing its way up. He didn't just lie to me. He stole from Grandpa, from us, and now he's pretending it's nothing. I stop by the window, catching the neighbor's light across the street. She's still there, her silhouette unmoving, like she's guarding something. I want to ask her what she knows, but my legs won't move. The letter burns in my pocket, proof of a truth I can't unsee. The kitchen clock ticks each second, louder than the last, filling the space where my thoughts should be. My hand hovers over the box, the key, still in the lock, but I can't turn it. The letter in my pocket feels like a stone pulling me down. I step outside to the porch, needing air, needing something to steady me. The night is cold, the streets silent, except for the faint hum of a distant car. Across the road, the neighbor's light flicks off her silhouette, gone, leaving me alone with the house and its secrets. I walk back inside, my boots scuffing the floor, and sit at the dining table, the unopened box in front of me. My phone lights up, Bernice texting again. "Checked your accounts. Dad's been calling your bank, asking about your loans." My stomach drops. He's not just after the house. He's digging into my life, looking for cracks to exploit. I set the phone down, my hands cold, and stare at the box. Whatever's inside, it's what he's afraid of, what he's been hiding all along. A knock at the door startles me. It's Leora, the neighbor, standing on the porch in a worn cardigan, her face lined with years of watching this town. She doesn't smile, just holds out a small envelope, her fingers trembling slightly. "Your grandfather gave me this," she says, her voice low. "Told me to give it to you if you ever came looking." I take it, my throat tight, and she steps back, her eyes searching mine. "He trusted you, Saul, more than anyone." She turns and walks away, her footsteps fading into the dark. The envelope is thin, sealed with tape that started to yellow. I tear it open, careful not to rip what's inside. It's a single sheet, Grandpa's handwriting again, but this time it's a list of dates and transactions, each one tied to Dad's name. Payments to a developer backdated to when I was in high school, when Grandpa was still alive. At the bottom, in smaller script, he wrote, "I kept this from you, to keep the peace. Forgive me." My vision blurs not from tears, but from the weight of it all. Dad didn't just betray Grandpa. He used me as an excuse, saying it was for the family while he sold us out. I fold the paper, my hands steady, but my mind spinning. Leora's words echo. Grandpa trusted me, but I've been carrying his failure, letting Dad's lies shape me. The box sits there, its lock glinting like a dare. I want to, but my fingers won't move. It's not just about the land or the money, it's about every time I swallowed my anger, every time I let Dad's voice drown out my own. I stand the chair scraping loud against the floor and walk to the window. The street is empty, the neighbor's house dark. I'm alone holding proof of a betrayal I can't unlearn, and the silence feels like it's swallowing me whole. I stand in the kitchen, the envelope from Leora, still in my hand, its edges creased from my grip. The box on the counter feels like a challenge I can't ignore anymore. I turn the key, the lock clicking open with a reluctant groan. Inside, there's a folder thick with documents and a small sealed note. The documents are legal papers, stamped and notarized, detailing mineral rights tied to the land beneath this house. Pages of surveys, contracts, and a valuation from years ago, millions, not thousands. My breath catches, not at the money, but at what Grandpa protected. I open the note. It's short, in his familiar scrawl, "Saul, this is yours. Don't let him take it." My chest aches, not with anger now, but with a clarity I haven't felt in years. Dad's been playing a long game, and I've been too quiet for too long. I tuck the note back into the folder and grab my phone, searching for a lawyer in town. My fingers move fast, purposeful, landing on a name: Corinne, a local attorney with a reputation for handling property disputes. I call her office, leaving a message, my voice steady but low. I need to talk about mineral rights. It's urgent. Morning light filters through the cracked blinds. As I sit at the dining table, the documents spread out. I'm not reading them anymore. I'm planning. Corinne calls back within the hour, her tone brisk but interested. "Bring everything you've got," she says. "If those papers are legit, you've got a case." I agree to meet her tomorrow, my mind already mapping out the steps. This isn't about winning. It's about taking back what's mine, what Grandpa fought for. I'm done letting Dad's shadow call the shots. I walk outside, the air sharp with early chill, and notice Leora's porch light on. She's out there watering her plants, her movements slow but deliberate. I nod, and this time she nods back, a small gesture that feels like permission to keep going. I head to my truck, the folder tucked under my arm, and drive to the county records office. The clerk, a tired-looking woman named Veda, takes the documents, her eyes widening as she scans them. "These are old," she says, "but they're registered. You'll need a lawyer to file a claim." I nod, already knowing what's next. Back at the house, I'm barely through the door when my phone buzzes. It's Bernice, her voice tense. "Dad's at my place asking what you're doing." "He's pissed, Saul." I pause, the folder heavy in my hand. "Let him be," I say, my tone even. "I'm handling it." She hesitates, then says, "I'm with you. Just don't let him push you around." Her words land soft, a reminder I'm not alone. I hang up, the house quiet except for the faint creak of settling wood, and I know I've crossed a line I can't uncross. I sit in Corinne's office, the folder open on her desk, its pages fanned out like evidence in a trial. She's methodical, flipping through the documents with a pen in hand, marking clauses and dates. "This is solid," she says, her voice clipped but confident. "The mineral rights are yours, but your father's already filed a counterclaim. He's saying the estate was mismanaged." My jaw tightens. Of course he did. I nod, keeping my hands still, though my pulse races. "What's next?" I ask. She leans back, sizing me up. "We filed to secure your claim. It'll cost you legal fees, surveys, maybe a court fight, and it'll get ugly with your family." Her words hang there, heavy but not surprising. I think of Bernice, her voice on the phone, steady in a way I didn't expect. I think of Grandpa's note, his trust in me scrawled in ink. "Do it," I say, my voice low but final. She nods, scribbling a note, and hands me a form to sign. My pen moves without hesitation, the ink dark against the page. Back at the house, I find Bernice waiting on the porch, her arms crossed against the evening chill. She doesn't ask about the lawyer, just looks at me, her eyes searching for something. "He came by my place again," she says. "Offered me money to talk you out of this." My stomach twists, but I don't flinch. "What did you say?" I ask, leaning against the railing. She smirks, a rare crack in her usual worry. "Told him to shove it." I almost smile, the weight in my chest easing just a fraction. Then Dad's truck pulls up, gravel crunching under the tires. He steps out, his face hard, carrying a new envelope thicker than the last. He doesn't knock, just walks up the steps, stopping short when he sees Bernice. "This ends now," he says, holding out the envelope. $500,000. "Walk away, Saul." His voice is steady, but his eyes flicker to the folder in my hand, betraying him. I don't take the envelope. "No," I say, the words solid, unyielding. Bernice shifts closer to me, her shoulder brushing mine. He steps forward, his voice dropping low. "You're throwing away everything for a dead man's fantasy." I meet his gaze, my heart steady for the first time in years. "It's not a fantasy. It's mine." He freezes the envelope, still extended, his knuckles white. For a moment, I see the man who raised me, the one who taught me to fish, to fix a carburetor. But that man's gone, replaced by someone who'd sell his own father's legacy. I turn away, walking inside, Bernice following. The door closes behind us, the sound sharp and final. I set the folder on the kitchen counter next to the box and look at Bernice. She doesn't say anything, just nods like she's been waiting for me to get here. I'm not fighting for Grandpa anymore, or even for the money. I'm fighting for the part of me Dad tried to bury. The papers are signed, the claim is filed, and there's no going back. I pick up the folder, its weight familiar now, and know I'm ready for whatever comes next. The lawyer's office smells of coffee and old books, a sharp contrast to the musty air of Grandpa's house. Corinne hands me a stack of papers, her pen tapping the desk as she explains the next steps. Filing the claim drained my savings, and the bank statements on my phone show a balance that's barely enough for groceries. I nod, signing, where she points, my hand steady, despite the numbers screaming in my head. She warns me the court date could be months away, and Dad's counterclaim is gaining traction. I leave her office with a thin folder of copies, the weight of it heavier than it should be. Back in town, I stop at the diner for coffee, needing a moment to think. The waitress Veda from the records office pours my cup without a word. but her glance lingers like she knows more than she's saying. I sit in a corner booth, the folder beside me, and notice the whispers from a table nearby. Two old guys regulars, by their easy banter, mention my name, their voices low. Saul's stirring up trouble with that old house, one says. His dad says he's greedy chasing a pipe dream. I grip my mug, the heat biting my palms, but keep my eyes on the table. Dad's been talking, spreading his version of the truth. I drive back to the house, the town's eyes on me, or so it feels. The mailbox is stuffed with bills and a notice from the bank about my overdrawn account. I toss it onto the kitchen counter next to the metal box, now empty except for a faint smell of ink and dust. My phone buzzes, Bernice asking if I'm okay. I text back, a quick fine, but I'm not. The money's running out, and the whispers are getting louder. I step outside, the air cool against my skin, and see Leora across the street, sweeping her porch. She pauses, watching me, but doesn't wave. I nod anyway, a habit now, and turn back inside. Bernice shows up an hour later, her car rattling into the driveway. She steps onto the porch, her face tight with worry. People are talking, Saul, she says, leaning against the railing. Dad's telling everyone you're tearing the family apart. Her words hit like a slow burn, not because they're new, but because they're public. I clench my jaw, saying nothing, and she softens, stepping closer. I told them he's wrong, but it's hard, you know. I nod, my throat tight, grateful for her, but feeling the weight of her standing in the crossfire. I walk her to the living room, where the folder sits open, its pages creased from my reading. He's not just fighting me, I say, my voice low. He's fighting Grandpa's memory. Bernice picks up a document, her fingers tracing the notary's seal. Then don't let him win, she says, her eyes meeting mine. I want to believe it's that simple, but the cost is piling up. Money, trust, even the way this town looks at me. I sit on the couch, the springs creaking, and stare at the folder, the room heavy with everything I can't say. Bus. Bernice leaves, her car's taillights fading down the road, and the house settles into a quiet that feels too big for its walls. I stand in the living room, the folder's pages still open, their edges curling in the damp air. My phone buzzes again, but I don't check it. The silence is louder, heavy with the town's whispers and Dad's lies. I walk to the kitchen, where the metal box sits empty, its purpose served. A new letter arrives in the mail, not from the bank, but from a woman named Delphine, claiming she's my cousin. Her handwriting is sharp, demanding a share of the estate, saying Grandpa promised her something years ago. My stomach twists. Another fight I didn't ask for. I set the letter down unopened and step outside to clear my head. The street is dark, but Leora's porch light glows steady as ever. I think about knocking, asking what else she knows, but my feet stay rooted. The air smells of rain, the kind that lingers for days. Back inside, I find another note in Grandpa's notebook, tucked in the back, its ink faded but legible. I try to fix the family, it reads, but some breaks don't mend. My throat tightens, not from anger, but from the weight of his regret, now mine to carry. The phone rings, shattering the quiet. It's Veda from the diner, her voice hesitant. Saul, people are saying, you're selling out the town, taking money from the land. Your dad's been at the bar talking loud. I thank her, my voice flat, and hang up. The words don't surprise me. but they sting sharp and personal. Old friends from high school, guys I used to shoot pool with, haven't called or stopped by. The town's turning, and I'm the outsider now. I sit at the dining table, the folder untouched, and feel the room grow colder. Delphine's letter stares at me, its edges crisp against the worn wood. I open it, skimming her claim. She says she met Grandpa once years ago, and he spoke of splitting the estate. No proof, just her word against mine. I folded back my fingers, slow, deliberate. Bernice texts again, Dad's at it again. Stay strong, I don't reply. The fight's not just about the land anymore. It's about who I am when no one's watching. I lean back, the chair creaking, and stare at the ceiling where a crack runs like a vein. The house feels empty, and so do I. The courtroom smells of polished wood and stale coffee, a quiet hum of voices fading as the judge delivers the ruling. The mineral rights are mine. The documents airtight, Dad's counterclaim dismissed. I sit in the back row, hands folded, feeling no rush of victory. The gavel falls a sharp crack, and people shuffle out, their footsteps echoing. Corinne gives me a nod, her briefcase already packed, but I stay seated, watching the empty bench where Dad never showed. His absence feels louder than any argument we've had. I drive back to the house, the folder of court papers on the passenger seat, their edges catching the afternoon light. The town feels different now, not hostile, but distant, like I'm a stranger passing through. I pull into the driveway, the gravel familiar under the tires, and step out, the air warm with the promise of spring. Inside, I set the papers on the kitchen counter, next to the metal box, now just a relic. My phone stays silent. No texts from Bernice, no calls from anyone. The fight's over, but the quiet isn't peace. I walk to the backyard, where the grass is patchy, wildflowers poking through the dirt. A kid from down the street, maybe 14, lingers by the fence, tossing a baseball into his glove. He looks at me, curious, but shy, and I nod, remembering how I used to toss a ball with Grandpa out here. My hands too small to grip it right. I call out, asking if he wants to help fix the porch later, and he shrugs, a half smile breaking through. Maybe, he says, then jogs off, the ball thumping steadily in his glove. Inside, I find Bernice waiting in the living room, her coat draped over a chair. She's been coming by, more, her visits short but steady. You won, she says, her voice soft like she's testing the words. I nod, leaning against the wall, my arms crossed. Doesn't feel like it, I say, and she doesn't argue. Just sits on the couch, her hands clasped. We don't talk about Dad, but his silence hangs between us, a wall neither of us can climb. I look at her, grateful for her being here, and feel the first stir of something new, not relief, but a sense of ground beneath my feet. I step outside again, needing the air, and notice Leora's garden across the street, its roses trimmed neat, despite the early season. She's not there, but her porch light glows a steady beacon. I think about her handing me that envelope, her quiet trust in Grandpa's plan. The house creaks behind me, settling into itself, and I sit on the porch steps, the wood cool under my palms. For the first time, I'm not running from anything, just here, letting the moment hold me. I walk back inside, the porch steps creaking softly behind me. The living room feels warmer now, the afternoon light slanting through the windows, catching dust in its glow. Bernice is still on the couch, flipping through Grandpa's notebook, her fingers pausing on a sketch of the old oak tree out back. He drew everything, she says, her voice quiet, almost reverent. I sit beside her, not too close, and look at the page. The tree's branches are detailed, each line careful, like he was preserving something more than wood. I nod, saying nothing, letting her words settle. Later, I call a contractor about the porch, scheduling repairs for next week. The cost stings, but I've sold a small portion of the mineral rights, enough to cover the basics and keep the house. The money's not the point. It's about making this place mine, not Dad's or anyone else's. I step into the kitchen, where the court papers sit, their edges worn from handling. I don't need to read them again. They're proof of something. I already feel I stood up, and that's enough. Leora stops by in the evening, carrying a small tin of cookies, her excuse for checking in. She sits at the dining table, her hands folded, and tells me about Grandpa teaching her son to whittle years ago, before the boy moved away. He had a way of seeing people, she says, her eyes distant. I listen, picturing Grandpa's hands, rough but steady, shaping wood into something new. She leaves the tin behind, and I eat one cookie, its sweetness sharp against the quiet. The kid from down the street shows up the next day, his baseball glove tucked under his arm. He helps me clear debris from the porch, his movements awkward but willing. We don't talk much, just work the rhythm of it calming. He asks about the house, and I tell him it was my grandfather's, leaving out the rest. He nods like he gets it and tosses his ball once before heading home. I watch him go, the street empty again, and feel a steadiness I haven't known in years. I walk to the oak tree in the backyard, its bark rough under my hand. The notebook sketch comes to mind, every branch captured like a memory. I don't need to open it to know what's there. The house looms behind me, its windows reflecting the last of the day's light. I've lost Dad, maybe for good, but I've gained something else, a place to stand, a truth I don't have to hide. I lean against the tree, the ground solid beneath me, and let the evening settle quiet and sure. The sun dips low, painting the porch in soft gold as I sit on the steps, a mug of coffee cooling in my hands. The house feels different now, not just a structure, but a choice I made. I've been here every day since the court ruling, sanding down the porch rails, painting the trim a clean white. The work is slow, deliberate, each stroke of the brush a kind of anchor. I don't rush. There's no one to prove anything to anymore. Bernice stops by most mornings bringing bagels, or just herself sitting quietly while I work. Today she leans against the railing, watching me scrape old paint from a shutter. "You're making it yours," she says, her voice light but sure. I nod, scraping harder flakes, falling like shed skin. She doesn't mention Dad, and neither do I. His silence is a closed door, one I don't knock on. I used to think I needed his nod, his approval. Now I just need this paint to stick. I walk inside, the floorboards creaking under my boots, and set the mug on the kitchen counter. The folder of court papers is gone, filed away in a drawer, replaced by a stack of bills I can pay now, thanks to the mineral rights sale. I kept enough to secure the house, nothing more. The money doesn't change the way the light falls through the windows or the way the air smells of fresh lumber. I open a drawer, pulling out Grandpa's notebook, its leather cover worn but warm. I don't read it, just hold it, feeling its weight, like holding a conversation we never finished. The kid from down the street. Tommy comes by again, his baseball glove swapped for a hammer. He's been helping with the repairs, his hands clumsy but eager. I show him how to drive a nail, straight my voice, steady, patient, in a way I never was before. He listens, nodding, and I see myself at his age following Grandpa's lead. Nice work, I tell him, and he grins a quick flash before he focuses again. I don't say more, but the moment lingers simple and solid. Leora waves from her porch as I step outside to sweep sawdust. She's been quieter since the ruling, but her eyes are kind, like she's proud of something I can't name. I wave back, the broom still in my hand, and feel the streets settle around me. The town's whispers have faded, replaced by nods from people I pass at the diner. They don't know the whole story, but they don't need to. I'm here, and that's enough. I sit back on the steps, the coffee cold now, and watch the sky deepen to dusk. The house stands behind me, its new paint catching the last light. I'm not the man I was a year ago, chasing shadows to prove a point. I'm just Saul, 38, living in a house I fought for, not because I had to, but because I could. I set the mug down, the clink soft against the wood, and let the evening air fill my lungs. I wake early, the house quiet, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. The morning light spills across the kitchen floor, clean now, the old linoleum replaced with wood. I laid myself. I make coffee, the routine familiar, but new each step mine to choose. The mug warms my hands as I walk to the front window, looking out at the street. Leora's roses are blooming, their red vivid against the green. I used to see this town as a cage, its eyes judging, its whispers sharp. Now, it's just a place, and I'm part of it. I step into the living room, where a new shelf holds Grandpa's notebook, its pages closed but not forgotten. I don't need to open it to feel him here. The fight for this house wasn't about the money or even the land. It was about standing still long enough to know who I am. Dad's voice doesn't echo in my head anymore. His absence is just a fact, like the weather, and I don't wait for it to change. Bernice calls sometimes, her voice lighter now, and we talk about small things, her job, the kid Tommy's baseball games, the way the oak tree's leaves catch the wind. We don't mention the past, but it's there, a thread that holds us. Tommy shows up after school, his hammer tucked in his belt like a badge. We work on the back fence, replacing rotted posts, the rhythm of our swings steady. He talks about his dad who left when he was young, and I listen, not offering answers, just nodding. I see Grandpa in the way I show Tommy how to measure a cut, the way I let him figure it out. I'm not fixing his life or mine, just building something that lasts. The fence stands straighter when we're done, and he grins, wiping sweat from his brow. I hand him a bottle of water, and we sit on the grass, the silence comfortable. I walk to the mailbox later, pulling out a single letter. Not a bill, but a note from Corinne. The claim is settled, the remaining rights secure. I fold it, slipping it into my pocket, and look at the house. Its new roof gleams under the sun, the windows clean, reflecting the sky. I've lost things, dad, old friends, the ease of not knowing. But I've gained this, a place that's mine, a truth I don't have to hide. I used to think strength was staying quiet, swallowing the hurt. Now I know it's choosing what to carry and what to set down. I sit on the porch as the day fades, the air cool, the street empty. The house stands behind me, solid its walls, holding more than wood and nails. I'm not whole, not fixed, just here, living a life I chose. What do you carry that you don't need to? If this story hits something true for you, like it, subscribe, share it with someone who gets it. Thanks for listening, for being here. I'll keep telling these truths as long as they need telling.